Hello, and thank you for joining HackerSCOM Day 2 today. It's great to have you with us. We are very excited to show what all of the contestants have built. This is going to be the first time I see as well. I'm very excited to see what is in store for us. But for those of you who aren't familiar with what HackerSCOM is, let me just quickly set the stage. So HackerSCOM is a combination between a hackathon, which is a coding event, and obviously SCOM. And we have got some of the biggest names in SCOM as judges and as contestants. And it's a really exciting event for me, certainly, speaking personally. And I'm looking forward to seeing what our contestants have been busy building this last 24 hours. But before we look at any of this, just a quick mention of our sponsors. So we are sponsored by Squared Up, who make the ultimate dashboarding solution for SCOM and for other platforms as well. We are sponsored by Cookdown, which is the company that I work for. We connect SCOM along with all the platforms you will have in your enterprise to get SCOM alerts into SCOM, and also to connect those SCOM alerts to other platforms like ServiceNow and whatnot as well. We're also sponsored by Silect. You couldn't have an event focused on MP authoring without having Silect on board. Their solutions are geared up specifically around MP authoring, and they're awesome at what they do in that space, making it much easier to author management packs. Also worth saying, throughout this whole event, we have a Slack workspace, which we also use for our coffee breaks, our regular webinars. If you go to scomathon.com/Slack, all the information you need to join is there. And there are a couple of channels you'll get added to. So if you have any questions as today progresses, there will be answers there by our judges, our contestants, and maybe by me if I'm not busy doing something else. So do join. So let's have a quick look at what the idea is behind the challenge itself. So the whole idea is that we have set a single challenge for each of our contestants. We then gave them 24 hours over which to go and build the awesome solutions that they've been set. There's a different solution for each contestant. So what we're hoping for is 5 different pieces of monitoring. We have 5 contestants, which I alluded to a second ago. So we should have 5 solutions, and we have 3 awesome judges as well. So that's the idea. Also, it's worth noting that we are donating $2 per attendee per day to the winner's charity of choice. The charities that our contestants have chosen are as follows. So we have the Boy Scouts of America, we have Cancer Fondum, we have Girls Who Code, and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So some very worthy charities. I'm hoping that we'll give our contestants afterwards some time to talk about their charities. And the all-important figure is, obviously, this is day 2, so we've already raised some money. How much did we raise? Well, yesterday we raised $288, which is great. I'm hoping we'll be able to smash this today. If you have any friends who aren't yet on this, who are interested in SCOM, do send them the link, and we need to get them on before we take the totals at the end of this webinar, so we can donate even more money to charity. And there we go. So where are we so far? This is day 2 after all. So our 24-hour clock is ticking. Our 24 hours will be up in approximately 5 minutes, I think, specifically. So what we're expecting is that each of our contestants' monitoring is done. Effectively, it's pens down time, which means only one thing, that it's judging time. So what better place to introduce our judges? So our first judge, who, just for anyone who wasn't here yesterday, is a well-known name in the SCOM space. It's Bob Cornelissen, aka SCOM Bob. Bob, you're an MVP and you're managing consultant of TopCore. Welcome back for day 2.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. This should be fun.
It should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to see what's been built. For anyone that wasn't here yesterday, just tell us a bit about yourself, please.
All right. So my name is SCOM Bob Cornelissen, and I'm a fisheries biologist, went into the IT about 20 years ago. And I've been a Microsoft MVP for 10 years. And I have been leading a company first called BICTT and now called TopCore since about 2006, 2007.
Perfect. Thank you. It's great to have you back. You've been on multiple SCOMathon events, including this one today. It's great to have you with us. Our next judge is Stoyan Chalikov. Stoyan, you are also an MVP and you're a senior principal consultant for Poon IT Consulting. We've had you on many a coffee break in the past and SCOMathon, and it's great to have you back again. Hello, Stoyan.
Thanks for having me back, Bruce. I'm really very excited to see what the guys have to offer. For those who were not there yesterday, my name is Stoyan. I'm a 5-time Microsoft MVP for Cloud and Data Center Management, and I work primarily with SCOM for the last, I think, 5 to 7 years. Let's see what these awesome specialists have to offer us.
Thank you. It's great to have you back for another SCOMathon event, and great to have you here today. And then finally, introducing our third judge. Our third judge is Shivam Kumar. You work in the SCOM product group for SCOM itself at Microsoft. It's great to have you here.
Hi everyone, welcome back to those who were here today. Welcome to those who are here today only. So I'm Shivam. I have been working in the SCOM product group for the past 3 years, and there's a lot that I'm learning through this hackathon. Some of the features in SCOM that you may have been through me. Some of the bugs that you dislike would also have been me. I'm sorry for that. And let's see what the contestants have built in 24 hours. It's going to be interesting.
I tried this yesterday. I'm going to try again today, but come on, SCOM 2022 sneak previews and anything you'd like to leak to us, we'd be very grateful to receive.
Well, I have a whiteboard of incomplete tasks. I hope it's not very visible.
If you were to accidentally zoom in, just hypothetically, that would be totally fine. Thank you. It's great to have you with us, and great to have you as a judge, because obviously who best to judge a solution for SCOM than the people that make SCOM itself. So awesome. So now you've met our judges, it's time to essentially dig into our monitoring. With our monitoring showcase. So we're going to bring up each of our contestants one by one. We're going to see how it went. We're going to play out a brief video, which I recorded with them somewhere between 1 and 3 hours after the challenges were set yesterday, which should give you an idea for each contestant's approach to the challenge. And then we're going to see what they built, the exciting piece, the really exciting piece. So without further ado, let me bring on our first contestant, Dion Walsham. Hello, how are you today? Oh, I'm not sure already. Okay, while you're being queued up, Dion, the challenge you got set was to alert on unexpected shutdowns. So this is a sort of problem, is not a new one to SCOM. And there are many ways that you could have gone about doing this. And what we were sort of really looking for is depth of solution here. Dion, are you in yet? Not quite yet. Okay, we're having some issues in getting Dion in. So while we're having those issues, let's play out the video that shows what Dion's approach was going to be to tackling this challenge. So let's play the video. Hi, Dion. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing very good this time.
So how is everything looking with your idea?
It's very interesting. It's a very interesting task because it's one of those ones where it has been done many times on sort of a simple basic level, but this one's going to be interesting to sort of add a bit more context to it. So yeah, I've outlined a few little design bits to sort of get on with. So I've got an idea how to make this a little bit more interesting than some of the other solutions for this. So
good. So what's on your mind? How are you planning to tackle the challenge?
So I mean, most of the ones that normally tackle these kind of things when it comes to hung servers is normally after the fact of the event. So I guess the special part of this is how do we define the sort of the proactive side where hung servers are concerned. So it might not necessarily always be easy to necessarily catch it beforehand, but there is some due diligence that can be done to sort of enrich the process from before it happens and after it happens as well. So rather than just sort of picking up the event of the server's actually hung, we want to sort of break down a little bit more the information of why it hung, like sort of the error codes, the bug codes, and sort of break it down and sort of just structure the overall journey of everything all together. And I think that will make it stand out a lot more than just the catching the event and then say, hey, it went down.
I agree. You know, the basics of it went down is not that useful, and it's not particularly actionable either. You need to why, you know, was it preventable? Is it a one-time occurrence? Why did it go down? Any troubleshooting data, I guess, is useful. Makes sense. Anything else you'd like to share at this point?
Not sure if there's too much else other than just those little outline points, but yeah, it will definitely be interesting to definitely display this once all is ready, really. Definitely try and do a lot of what we can within a 24-hour time period. But yeah, I like the challenge. I think the countdown will make things a little bit more interesting as well.
Yes, for sure. So at the moment we are, what are we now? An hour and a half-ish?
Yeah, something like that.
5 minutes after the clock has been started. So you've still got a good old chunk of time left, but far enough in that you've got an idea of what you're doing. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck with it all. And we'll see what your solution looks like when we present this video. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And good luck. Awesome. So that's Dion's plan. I can see you're here, Dion, although you do appear to be muted. Hello.
Hello.
So how did you find the challenge, and did how it sort of played out match your initial plan is the first thing to ask.
It kind of did. There was a little bit of throttling, so to speak, to try and get certain things to work. But yeah, this was actually it was very interesting challenge, because as even though it might sound easy, it's quite tricky to really sort of put a lot of things in place to try and capture everything when it comes to unexpected shutdown. So I had to sort of think of some creative ways behind the scenes to sort of fluff up the simplicity of how to sort of get everything showing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest issue with when the machine is not online is you have no agent, obviously, so that makes things challenging.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what you've built. So I guess that's probably a good point to get you to show your solution, and also we should bring up our judges, because what I'm hoping they'll do is they'll comment as we go and as things get kind of interesting. So let's just bring up the judges once more. Hello, judges. And we can transition to your hopefully screen where we can see your solution.
Okay. Just trying to think where to start. So I suppose the best way to start is, well, I developed a management pack for this. I just called it Bsod management pack. So the background for this is so when it comes to things like blue screen of deaths and unexpected shutdowns, there's not really much you can actually do in terms of trying to understand what actually happened to actually cause it during the time it's happening. So by the time the machine's down, you've really got nothing. So what I try to do is sort of build around the due diligence of it to sort of see what we can actually find out of things beforehand. So what I did was I added a couple of monitors here. So basically the idea was just to try and basically sort of add a little bit more what's the word, like enhancements to some of these sort of simple parts of trying to actually catch the errors. So for example, I've got a monitor here, which this one is actually quite a simple one. Just basically goes for the system log, tries to find the actual event for the actual machines when it actually goes for the blue screen of death. But then the funny part about this is that once the actual machine goes down and it actually comes back up, that event is essentially in the past. So
indeed.
you might not always actually catch it. So I thought, okay, I see what they're trying to do. So I thought, okay, there's other ways that I could look into this. So what I did was I built a secondary monitor, and then what this does, this actually works alongside a rule which I've actually put in the background, which is a Bsod enhanced error script that I had to use a little bit of PowerShell to sort of get around on this one. So so what this does is basically it goes to find that particular blue screen of death event in the past. And then what that does is there's actual logic that actually compiles all of the bug check error codes. And then what it's able to do is parse the information in that event log, find the actual bug check code that it had, and then compare it with a library of codes that I've got within the actual PowerShell script rule. And then it will find out what the error code is, and then find out exactly which error messages and how it actually relates to the actual machine going down. So that sort of enhances the additional monitor if it's not able to catch the other one in the past. But then other parts added to this management pack was I added a couple of diagnostic tasks. So most of the common things when it comes to machines going down is sometimes it could be a faulty driver, or it could be the last software that you installed. So what I did was added a couple of diagnostic tasks that run once this monitor is triggered, and then it will check which drivers were the last to actually be installed at the time of that, when that event happened. And also the same thing for the latest software that may have been installed around that time as well. I've also added them as additional agent tasks as well, so that there's some due diligence that can actually be done beforehand as well, to sort of get an idea on all of the software that's actually installed on that machine, as well as all of the actual drivers on there as well, just to sort of try and grab any kind of piece of information, whether it happens before or it happens after. So yeah, the management pack was just pretty much detailed to try and do some due diligence beforehand, and then have more of a gathering or trying to get information on why it actually went down. I did think of doing it, trying to do it through the memory dump things, but I probably needed additional tools to tie in with it in order to sort of look more specifically in there. So I tried to sort of fluff up more of the simplicity of it.
Interesting. Judges, what are your thoughts?
It's interesting. So you said that your script sort of goes into the past to check for past events. So
Yes.
how does it? What's the threshold there? Like, how far does it go, or how does it know how far the last time it went?
I've actually got a logic for it. So basically, it looks for the newest event that happened, sort of synced with the same time frame that I've got that script rule running. So I put it to like 60 seconds only because I didn't want to wait too long for it to actually show up. So after that, it actually finds the correct event log that's in there. Then it will parse the actual information from there, grab the error code, compare it to all of the other error codes and error messages, and once it finds an actual match, then it will go ahead and then create another event log, and then the additional monitor for the management pack grabs it and then shows it in the actual SCOM console.
Nice. Judges, any other thoughts?
I really liked the flexibility that Dion showed here in order to get the event from the past. I was thinking, I mentioned yesterday that there is a possibility to check for memory dumps or, of course, mini dumps, which
Yes.
are generated every time when a BSOD happens. But now, when I heard his thoughts and his ideas, I really don't think that we can use the memory dumps in any way.
Yeah.
Dion is right. You need additional tools, a debugger to analyze the dumps. So I think he did a great job here. He captures the events, he captures the bug check code, which is very important just to show. And I really like the idea with getting the latest drivers and installed software, because this is really 80 to 90% in the cases the reason for a memory dump. I do not see any, let's say, any design flaws or something like this. So I would say great job, Dion.
Okay, thank you. I mean, if you like, I can actually demonstrate it. I've got a PowerShell script that just does a dummy event log, so I don't have to actually cause an entire blue screen of death, just so you can get an idea on how it looks in the actual alert view.
Okay, cool. That would be really great if you can demo us shortly.
Okay.
That is great.
I'm probably setting myself up for something very horrible here, but
What could possibly go
but
wrong?
let's just see.
In your defense, you know, you have only had 24 hours, so we will forgive if it doesn't go to plan.
Okay, I will hold you to that. Okay,
Hackathons
right,
and Murphy's Law go hand in hand, so it's
oh,
fine.
yeah. Right. So yeah, this one is the is the very first one. So this is the actual bug error code check that you would get once the actual blue screen of death happens. So the other rule that I have runs every 60 seconds. So eventually there should be another alert that comes through that says something like BSOD enhanced check. Let's hopefully it doesn't come up too long. But the idea of that is that it would basically parse out all of this information. It would grab this particular error code here and then compare it with the library that I've got in the PowerShell script rule, and then it will come up and show the actual message relating to that particular error code. So hopefully that shows up, and hopefully if I keep talking long enough, it will show up.
May I ask something in the meantime?
Yes.
Do you get the path for the memory dump dynamically, or is it hard-coded in the alert description?
So this particular one actually gets hard-coded in the in the alert description. I think there's actually multiple areas in where the memory dumps can be placed in, but I think it would show it up depending on the particular bug check I've got as well. And also I had to accommodate for different event sources, because I realized some machines show it as a source of bug check, then some show it as WER error descriptions and those kind of things. So sort of accommodate different type of resources here.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, this is a nice addition on top of the agentless exception monitoring, because that is basically showing that there was something happening and there is some kind of a dump somewhere, but it doesn't try and compare it to a list of potential memory failures, like you said. You have already a starting list there, which to compare it to. I'm guessing that if it cannot compare it to anything, then it will just give you the data as is, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, very nice.
So here it is. Here it is, right here. Right. So yeah, basically, it just grabs the actual bug error code, pass from that, and then it pairs it with the actual error message. The actual error message relating to this bug is actually a lot longer, but I thought I would just parse it just a little bit more. But otherwise, I would probably kept most of the original description just so it's got more of a fuller bit of information compared to the error code. But yeah, that's pretty much how that part works. And then if I just go into the Health Explorer, then it should have actually ran the that's interesting. Oh wait, wrong one. There you go. Right, so here are the diagnostic tasks that's ran. So as I haven't actually installed any new software or any new drivers, what I did was just sort of add a date variable on there just to sort of show that it actually works. So the idea is that it would show all of the last software and the install dates for this particular day, and then the same way for the hardware one as well. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
Very nice, very nice. Any other questions or comments from the judges? Because ultimately, you guys will have to, assess him.
Exactly. I like what I see so far.
Absolutely, me too. Agree with Bob.
Yeah, I think the extra metadata that he has added makes a lot of sense. The drivers and the software. So, yep.
I have maybe a small idea how to extend this further. When Dion decides to publish this for the community, you can go ahead and check how the system is configured. It can be configured to write a memory dump, so a full dump, or it can be configured to write only a mini dump. So if you read this, you can use PowerShell. I know you're good at it, so you can read out what kind of dump is the system configured for, and displays also as a hint in the alert description for those who are reviewing it, just to know where they should look for the dump. But otherwise, besides this, is really a great solution.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. I actually thought of that, but I didn't have nowhere near enough time to try and put that in. But I will definitely add it to this.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Dion.
Perfect. There is one question that's come in via the hop-in chat, which is along the lines of what event IDs are you looking for to figure out when a machine has unexpectedly shut down?
So all of the BSOD errors that I get, they all come under an event ID of 1001 and could be under an event source of bug check or WER Windows error reporting. So the additional advanced detail alert that I actually created the logic in there to actually create a new event ID under the same source, but under event ID called 1002. So it was easier to tell apart.
Makes sense. So, unless there are any other questions, I suggest we move on. Are there any other questions or comments from any of our other judges?
No, let's have a look at the others.
All right. So we're having sort of technical issues in getting Ronnie in, who was going to be next. So Kevin, I'm going to go to you next. Your challenge was to deal with putting servers behind a gateway into maintenance mode when the gateway itself goes down, and to take them out of maintenance mode again when the gateway becomes available. So how did you find your challenge?
It was almost exactly like I thought it would be. I just kind of executed on the plan that we talked about previously, and got it working. So I think I see lots of room for improvement, but I was happy with the results.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, I'm really interested to see what you've built. Before we do, we have the video that we recorded just to play out quickly, which gives a bit more information as to how you plan to build what you've built. So, hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you, Bruce?
I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah. So you've had, what are we on now? 2 hours since the clock started ticking on your HackerSCOM challenge. How are things looking so far?
So I picked was given the gateway maintenance mode integration, and so the first thing I had to do was scramble and get some gateways up and working in my environment. So I thought I had that covered, but I didn't, not in a broad enough way. So I spun up a few gateways and spun some agents behind them and set up the certificates and all of that. So I'm kind of ready with the testing environment. And now I'm going to start developing the management pack.
Sounds good. And what's your thoughts around how you'll approach developing the management pack itself?
Well, I'll start with, it's the concept is based on if a gateway is unavailable, we want to put all the agents that are assigned to that gateway in maintenance mode. And so I'll start with writing a monitor just for gateway availability. We have built-in gateway availability where we would get heartbeat failures, but I don't the challenge that I have with that is a lot of people often set those to be quite long for short network outages that impact them. And I've had some customers that deploy lots of gateways, and I kind of felt like creating my own monitor would give me some more control over the process. Yeah. And so I'll start with that. And then I'll probably make the maintenance mode as like a recovery action when the monitor goes unhealthy. And then I'll just have to figure out exactly what I'm going to put into maintenance mode. So I'm kind of thinking like a dynamic group will be created per gateway. And the dynamic group will contain all of the machines that are assigned to that gateway.
Makes sense. Nice. Perfect. Well, it sounds like, aside from building test labs, that you have a plan and you're ready to roll. Is there anything else you want to add?
I can't think of it. Like I just know that like what I really want, like in my head, I really want it to be dynamic. So you could just bring in this management pack and it would auto create the groups. It would auto create the group membership, and then it would automatically create views. So you could have a dashboard and say, okay, here's all my gateways. Here's the groups that contain the members of those gateways, and here's their current maintenance mode status and health status for availability. I don't know if I'll be able to get all the way to that level in 24 hours. So my first pass, you'll probably have to create your groups manually through like a fragment or a template or something like that. But I'd really like to get it to where it's just completely an end-to-end solution that deploys itself when you import the management pack. But I've never done anything like that before. But I conceptually can see how it's possible.
The issue is obviously the 20-hour time limit. Yeah. Makes sense to slice it in what you have. Start with something basic and build on it. Great. Well, good luck to you. Looking forward to seeing what the finished solution looks like. Thank you very much.
All right.
Perfect. So you've heard the plan. So aside from sort of lab setup issues, which are always fun, we always have them internally and cooked down as well. I'm really interested to hear how far through your plan that you set out you got, and to hear a bit more about if there were any challenges. So how did it go? Were there any issues, any challenges?
No, I think everything went exactly like I thought. And as soon as I got it working, I was like, okay, that's good enough for now. And this is ready to demo. Hopefully the demo gods agree with me today.
Yeah, there's always that element. Doesn't matter how prepared you are, there's always the on-the-spot demo. All right, and so on that note, I guess it's on-the-spot demo time. So let's share your screen, and we'll see what things look like.
Cool. All right, so just to revisit, the challenge was gateways and network outages where either the gateway goes down because something's wrong with the gateway, or the link goes down, which is more common that I see. And how do we suppress the alerts from the agents so that all those agents that are behind that gateway don't throw, hundreds or thousands potentially of heartbeat failures and computer unreachable alerts that aren't really true, because the problem is really a singular problem with like a network link. And so what we want to do for the solution is trigger maintenance mode and then remove it when the gateway becomes available again, right? So I started with a simple monitor that does a simple ping of each gateway. And then it, in turn, turns the gateway object unhealthy. And if we determine that it's unhealthy, we run a recovery that will start maintenance mode for a group in SCOM. And that group is dynamically populated with agents, like we talked about. And then we need another recovery to stop maintenance mode when it becomes available. So a lot of people don't realize this. The UI doesn't allow, when you create a recovery in SCOM, it will only allow you to create a recovery for a warning or a critical condition. But you actually can execute a recovery when a monitor goes back to success, goes back to healthy. So you can have a recovery for an unhealthy condition, and you can have another recovery for a healthy condition. You have to write that in XML, unfortunately. The console doesn't allow it. But it is possible, and so I leveraged that. I didn't know it at the time, so it was the part I was most concerned with. But yeah, so basically you need a group for each gateway. This group uses a PowerShell script to populate, not the normal group population, and it bases it off of agents that are assigned to that gateway. And then we just trigger maintenance mode for the group. And due to SCOM and containment, all the Windows computers that are members of the group go into maintenance mode. So I also created some views, and I'll demo those. One is just the normal alerts. The gateway availability is the state view. And then you need to be able to see each group and whether it's in maintenance mode currently or not. And then the computers themselves, I kind of demoed this. I'd like for this to be dynamically created, but right now it's a manual process. So what's in there? So there's 3 classes, relationships, and discoveries for my 3 groups. I have 3 gateways, so that's why you see the 3 here. A data source, a write action, a monitor type of monitor, 2 recoveries, 4 views, 1 folder, and 5 PowerShell scripts. So that's ultimately, it's fairly simple as far as management packs go. And it actually could be made simpler. Some of the discoveries could leverage a single data source. and use cookdown and things like that. But they're all separate right now. So with that, let me just get back to the demo, and I'll show this off. All right, so here is my management group. I have a folder for gateway maintenance mode. I have the alerts view. I can see, these are my gateways and their current health state. This is a watcher, so it's a perspective of, is the gateway communicating right now? And if I drill into this watcher, I can see that here is my ping monitor that I created. And it's currently healthy because ping is working. And then I just picked one gateway for the purpose of the demo, and I can see these are the computers that are assigned to that gateway. And here's the dynamic group that's associated with this particular gateway. And so in order to trigger the demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause my firewall. So this firewall separates a DMZ from my normal SCOM environment. And so when this firewall is not functioning, that simulates a network link outage. And all of a sudden, I won't be able to ping or communicate with my gateways with this not functioning. So I check, let me get back to my console. I check every 30 seconds just for the purpose of the demo. That's probably a little aggressive. But you can see within 30 seconds, I've already triggered, my ping monitor has failed for both of these gateways, which happen to be in my DMZ. If I look at my gateway availability, I'll see that these two watchers have grown unhealthy. If I drill into Health Explorer, I can see that my ping monitor has triggered. And my first recovery is run. And so this is to start the gateway group maintenance mode recovery. And you can see the output that, the script is starting. The group named for the gateway was verified that it's in maintenance mode. And so that should have triggered. And so what we can do is we can come over here to our group. And we can see this group is indeed in maintenance mode right now. So, so that triggered successfully. And if I look at the individual Windows computer objects, they are also in maintenance mode. And I can look at the maintenance mode settings. And I used a special comment to show that the gateway outage maintenance mode was based on a group membership. And so this tells me why they're in maintenance mode. If it's, you kind of want to have that comment in there so people, if they see that object in maintenance mode, they kind of know why, it's because the gateway's down. So, so that's pretty much it. Then if I, say, okay, the network outage is fine now, so I'm going to set my firewall back to running. And so what that should do is within the next 30 seconds to a minute, that ping monitor will trigger again. It'll see that, I can communicate with this gateway again. I'm going to set that monitor back to healthy. And then theoretically, what should happen is we should remove this from maintenance mode. So looks like one of them has reset, but not the other. I'm not really sure why. If I look at my gateway availability, it may just be timing on that. So gateway 1 has gone back to healthy. Gateway 2 is still unhealthy. So that just may be a timing issue, or it may be that, the next 30-second cycle, it will pick up on that one. So we'll just focus on gateway 1. So if I open Health Explorer on the gateway, and I drill into my ping monitor, you'll actually see a recovery ran on the good healthy condition when I return back to healthy. And let me blow this up. And the recovery basically said the action is to stop maintenance mode. And we verified that the group was already in maintenance mode, and we're removing the group from maintenance mode. So to see that that's true, we'll go look at the group here. And sure enough, it is no longer in maintenance mode, which it was. And if we look at our computers, I'll just do a quick refresh to make sure. Yep, they've been removed from maintenance mode as well. So if I go here, I no longer have an option to edit them, only to start a new maintenance mode because they've been completely removed. So not sure why the second one didn't work. I think it has to do with DNS resolution. Whenever I disconnect my firewall, I can't get DNS forwarding, and that causes my local DNS server to cache that it can't resolve that name. So I think this is more of an anomaly. People with better DNS setups than my lab, DMZ probably wouldn't deal with that. So yeah, so with that, so the tools that I use to create this management pack, if I didn't have my fragment library, this would have taken a lot longer. I was actually pretty impressed. Almost every workflow that I created or view or script, I already had a fragment for. And so then I just had to tweak the PowerShell. So I use Select MP Author Professional to do it. To bring those fragments in to build the structure of the management pack. You could also use Visual Studio authoring extensions with the fragments. But like I said, the majority of it was just figuring out the PowerShell that I needed to write. And then what's next? So right now, each gateway, the ping monitor runs independently. So if you had 50 gateways, you'd have 50 scripts running every minute. That's not good. So it needs to cook down. That just takes a little more development effort. Usually when I write something, I'll start it with an individual script, and then I'll focus on making it cook down properly so it only runs the script once later. So the script error handling. So when things go bad, when things don't work as expected, we need to log those errors as events and then generate rules that alert on them. That's something that usually comes after the fact. And then, like I said, I'd like to automate group creation so that when you import the management pack, it would detect how many gateways do you have and automatically create a dynamic group for each gateway and then automate the views as well. So those are things that I'll probably be adding to it over the next series of weeks or months.
Amazing. I think you can attribute the one remaining critical gateway to the demo gods, but from where I'm sitting, this looks like a pretty complete solution. So judges, time for you to speak.
Actually, I have a question for Kevin. So,
yeah.
Kevin, what kind of objects are there in that group?
Windows computers. I could put anything in there that I want, but I just put Windows computer objects in the group because when you put a Windows computer object into maintenance mode, it automatically puts everything, including the watchers, in maintenance mode.
Yeah, I was thinking about network devices also on that remote location. Maybe even Linux, but I think network devices are more common.
It would be pretty easy to get that as long as you had a way. So like if you look at the PowerShell for my dynamic group membership, it just does a HackersCOM agent where the parent is the gateway and gets that list of names and then puts those Windows computers in the group. But you could say get network device where network subnet matches the gateway subnet and then put them in dynamically that way as well.
All right. So that'll be one of the requests. But I do like to I do like this setup. Yes, indeed. Very nice. Also the dynamically built groups, like you said in the hour after it started, that you were like really trying to dream up of the perfect situation, getting it dynamically involved. And now, well, you got to that part as well. That's really nice.
Was there a question from you there?
I noted a couple of things which I really liked here. First of all, like the way Kevin presented his solution with some slides, like the idea, and also the comment which gets put in the maintenance mode window, so that it comes really because of the gateway down stuff. So very nice. And the recovery on a healthy condition is something new to me. I need to admit that. Really surprised to see this, as an example. And of course, what I also liked is the error handling, but I think it's part of each management pack that Kevin does, so it's not that big of a surprise. Besides this, what I can say, just flawless. Yeah.
Oh, that's how you do it.
That was a question.
Okay.
How, I didn't know
Very
that was
nice.
possible either. That's news to me. That's very nice. Cool. Any other questions or comments from the judges? And if not, I have. I've got one. So when you put the machines into maintenance mode, how long do you put them into maintenance mode for? Given you don't need to actually...
So yeah, I just had to pick an arbitrary number because what would I choose? So I just picked 1 month. Obviously, we don't expect a temporary gateway outage to last a month, but I didn't want them to come out of maintenance mode until the issue was resolved. And so honestly, I could make it 10 years. It could be just anything. At some point though, there is the challenge of, what if we put it in maintenance mode and then taking it out failed for some reason? And we do at some point want them to come out of maintenance mode in case that scenario occurs. So I will probably make that an adjustable setting for the end user to say, this is what, this is the arbitrary time for. I picked a month, but you could pick whatever you want.
Sounds reasonable. And then my final question was, how you mentioned you used a bunch of your pre-existing fragments. So sort of how heavily did you rely on what you already had? How much of it was sort of reused versus written for this challenge?
So every object that was written came from a fragment. Every single one. The only thing that I had to actually author myself was just tweaking some of the XML. So like I have a fragment for a script-based group, which I used a PowerShell script-based group. Then I just had to tweak the PowerShell. I had the fragment includes the relationship, so I didn't have to write any of those. The monitor that runs the gateway availability, I have a TimeScript PowerShell monitor, so I just use that and I just edit it to do a ping for the output. The recoveries, I have a fragment to add recoveries. So I did 2 recoveries. I just had to tweak it a little bit because I shared a single data source or a single write action for the recovery. There was no point in doing 2 separate write. You try to reduce how many places you have almost the exact same script in a management pack. And then the views that I created all came from fragments. I think here they are. I manually created 2 views. You can see the ugly ones that the console creates. So yeah, almost everything was built with a series of fragments. It would have taken a lot longer if I didn't have those fragments for sure.
I can imagine. Yeah. And that, dear listener, dear watcher, is the power of fragments. Perfect. Well, unless there are any other questions from the judges, I'm going to propose we move on. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Are there any last questions? No. All right. In which case, we're going to go next to Ronnie. Ronnie, hopefully you have audio and visuals and all the rest of it working now. Hello. Can you hear us and speak?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Much better. Yes, we can. So your challenge was to open a Windows firewall port on demand until traffic ceases when the port should close. How did you find the challenge?
Ooh, very interesting. I'm not so technically good with the Windows firewall, so it was a good challenge, I guess.
Good to hear. Hopefully you managed to complete it okay. We'll soon see. So as with everyone else, I interviewed you, but I think it was 2 hours after the initial challenge was set to figure out what your approach was going to be. So let's play out that video now, and then we'll come to you and see what it looks like. Hello, Ronnie. How's everything going with your solution so far?
Hello. I think it's going fine so far. I just in the design and got into some technical research.
Well, it's the necessary first step. So just to jog my memory, what are you working on?
I'm actually working on the firewall, allow open firewall ports when traffic is knocking on. And I started with a rough design of the SCOM part, and now I'm just looking into the firewall log to see what I can use to trigger this and to stop it.
To stop it. I think for me, the one that's going to be tricky, to stop it, to close the firewall. That's the thing that in my mind I haven't got a good handle on how I might tackle that piece of the challenge. I can think of where I would at least go to figure out when and how to open the firewall, but it's the closing it after 2 minutes bit. My mind went to Wireshark traces, which is probably not the right answer, but that's what's in my mind. So it doesn't really matter what's in my mind. You'll be the one building it. So what's your plan so far? What are you thinking the solution will look like?
Just the SCOM part of it is I'm thinking of having the information which ports to open registered on the server, and use the discoverer to populate the class, and then have the work for open and closing on that class. So I think the problem is right now is what you just mentioned, the open part, when to trigger that.
Yeah.
So that's where I am right now.
Okay.
My research.
Much more research to do. So as we're speaking, we're 3 hours into the 24-hour period. So you still have plenty of time, which is good news.
Yeah.
Anders, I spoke to Anders before I spoke to you, and he said, you're a secret genius and that you're the one we should be worried about. And he insisted.
Oh, I'll see if I can find out how to do this.
I'm sure you'll manage. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you build. Is there anything else you want to share on your approach or on the challenge?
I don't think I have so much more.
That's okay. No problem.
Actually.
Well, like I say, there is still plenty of time, so it's all good. All right, well, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. The best of luck to you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. All right, great. So let's see how you got on. It sounds like you had a handle on how you build your solution, so that's really cool. So if I get you to now share your screen, everyone else we had sort of queued up, so I'll need to get you to click the screen share button and share the correct screen to demo, and then take us through what you've built, and hopefully not just the demo gods, but the hop-in gods will be kind to us. So if you can share your screen, and we'll see how we go. It's thinking. That's positive.
Okay, hopefully you're seeing something now.
Yes.
Great. Yes, my challenge, as you heard, the open Windows firewall port on demand. I have some initial questions when I got the challenge. How just to store firewall port settings, and how to trigger the Windows firewall to open when blocked. And I have no idea how to trigger the Windows firewall to close when the traffic ceases. And I also thought about how to delegate the settings to the users and make it visible in SCOM. So I obviously decided to make a mansion pack. The picture to the right is the overview of the mansion pack that I created in Visual Studio. And of course, you can throw in questions at any time. I move on. I made a decision to store all the firewall port settings in the registry of the agents, which will have the firewall opened. And to get that into SCOM, it was a two-step discovery. I started with a lightweight registry C discovery, and moving on to a PowerShell discovery to invent all the settings from the registry. The picture at the bottom here is the result in the SCOM console of the invented settings. And a little peek of the PowerShell discovery to the right. After some investigation in the firewall log file, I noticed that drop packets were logged when the port connection was failed. So the solution was to monitor the log file for dropped and drop package and the criteria from the registry to get a trigger to add the firewall rule. And to open the firewall rule, a PowerShell write action was triggered. A firewall rule is created and a separate log file is created just for follow-ups. So I can know when to close the port again.
Very nice.
Moving on to the trigger for the close firewall. This was the trickiest part for me, how to just trigger the close of the firewall rule. The solution I came up with was schedule a PowerShell script that reads the posts from the firewall log file within the configure interval from the registry. And it also watches if there's a log file created in the first place, otherwise there's nothing to do. If it is, it reads the log files and check if traffic is still going on. If it is, it just logging to the file and wait another interval. It checks again. And finally, when the traffic has ceased, the web firewall rule can be removed. And to view this in SCOM, I made a couple of views. One state view for the monitored servers. This is the service that has any registry information about this firewall rules. And every time a rule is created, a alert is created that shows an information alert that a Windows firewall rule is activated. And the alert is active as long as the firewall rule is active. And you can watch the state on the server in the Health Explorer in the warning and green state there. So let's see. I think that's it. Thank you for me. Have any questions?
Hey, so can you show us what exactly are you storing in the registry?
Yes, I'm going back to.
Maybe I missed that.
Here I have some info, and it's a little bit small. But as you can see in the middle here is the things that I save. And
sure, I will try to zoom in.
That is a little small.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I think if you look at the screen left bottom, you will see as well the detail view in SCOM.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's that one.
Good spot.
Got it.
Actually, it's the name of the firewall rule, and the protocol, and the port, and the remote address of the server. And also need the path to the log file of the Windows firewall. And then we have a seconds interval that we're going to wait before we close.
Got it.
The traffic ceases. And then I also added a comment.
Perfect. Are there any other questions or comments from our judges?
I think I can start here. I was initially, as we assigned the task to Ronnie, I was pretty much aware how I would solve opening the firewall, particularly the trigger for this. This should be the firewall walk, but I had no idea absolutely no idea how to solve the other issue, the complex one, how to close the firewall based on what. And bravo, Ronnie, for taking this approach. I think you figured it out, and it looks nice. Great job.
I agree. Yep, nice. It was in a nice place as well. It wasn't somewhere like Wireshark traces, like I suggested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really see how Ronnie took the creative approach to this as well, right? So you needed to come up with an idea and come up with a way of reading how long you would wait. That's one, for what you would wait, and testing it and then reading that back, which is difficult enough. So yeah, you had to put something in a log in order for yourself to see that the traffic is still going or not going. So that was very creative thinking, Ronnie.
I agree.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions, comments from our judges?
No, this makes so now that you've made it, it sounds intuitive, but it wasn't before 24 hours ago.
Yeah,
So
indeed.
kudos for that.
Totally agreed. All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Ronnie. Great to see your solution and how you actually tackled the challenge, because like we've all said, it was a massive question mark before. Thank you very much. All right, moving on then. Our next contestant is your colleague, Anders. Anders, your challenge was to create registry keys containing data from a centrally stored CSV on servers, and also to store this information in SCOM's object model. So how did you get on with that challenge?
I think it went more or less like I hoped that it would. So I'm pretty satisfied.
Oh, you're breaking up. Oh no, the internet gods too, as well as the hop-in gods and the demo gods are required.
You can't hear me?
Oh, we can now. You're back.
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. I think it went well. I think I'm satisfied with the 24 hours. I think I done the best that I could.
Glad to hear it. Good to hear. One question I should have asked everyone, excuse me, is how much midnight oil was burnt? How late into the night were you working on it?
I haven't slept yet.
Oh wow, okay. So you've used
Oh.
every minute of the 24 hours.
Yes.
In which case, I hope you've got a full cup of coffee, and we'll forgive you if you fall asleep while presenting. It's okay. Okay, with that in mind, as with everyone else, we took a video where we'd understand your approach and see what you would build. So let's play out that video now. Hello, Anders. How are you finding your challenge so far?
I find it very interesting and a little bit difficult to solve all the ideas that I have, but I have came to kind of a conclusion so far.
That's good. Good to hear. Good to see also what's in the background behind you. Looks to me like an architecture diagram of sorts. So I'm interested to hear what your plan is.
Yeah, I have it's a draft of the design of the solution. So I wanted to make the central CSV file discovered into SCOM, and then deployed the information on the agents. And if I have the time and if everything goes as I hope, then I will add a functionality that make the a functionality so you can edit or correct the information on the agent, and then it's transported back to the central file, and sort of the central location of all the changes, so you can follow if it's done by central or if it's done by an agent.
That's really nice. Yeah, I can see there being cases where, people just want the CSV to be the center of the universe, and cases where people want to pull in things from the agent. Makes total sense. Cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty much, and it's the functionality to allow client update. I named it. So it's something that you as an administrator are going to tune, or you can configure it as you please within your organization.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, it seems like you have a robust plan there. Anything else to add? Any challenges, any issues so far, apart from obviously 24 hours?
Time is, but as normally the challenges are not in the beginning, it's almost at the end of the time when you wanted to do this and this and this and that, and so it's going to be the same here. But for now, it feels okay, and I'm glad to participate.
I'm glad to hear. It looks like I'm looking forward to seeing what this one looks like. This is one, as I've said a few times, I think from the customers that have spoken to me about issues they've had, I can see them really using. So that's really good.
I will do it. I will try to do it as dynamic as possible. So it's the idea is that if you want to use it, you don't have to customize or change it in most cases. But of course, to do something bulletproof, that's kind of hard in 24 hours at least.
Oh yeah, I mean the time element is a real issue. If you had all the time in the world, it would be a much simpler challenge. But anyway, I'm really glad to hear you have a robust approach. As we speak now, we are pushing on 3 hours after the clock started ticking, 2 hours and 40 minutes. So you've got a good chunk of time left. Unless there's anything else you wanted to add, good luck with it all. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the final product.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. There you go. So as you can see, Anders had a very robust plan there. Architecture diagram up on screen in the background there, adding to that. So how did you find it? How was it just a case of the time, or were there technical challenges as well, Anders?
It was a little bit of both. But my biggest problem is that I'm not used to speak English, so I'm having huge trouble in finding the correct words when I'm trying to say things. So that's my main issue. But I'm trying to get better on that side.
Well, from where I'm sitting, that doesn't come across as an issue, and as an English speaker, I have that problem too. So I guess without further ado, let's see what you've built.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't demo anything because I can't get in reach within my development environment. So I can't actually live demo it, but I can show you. This was the basic idea. I had a draft when I started, and then I had some challenges. I have to do it easy of use, and it has to be dynamic in some way. I thought it would be a good idea to keep track of history when the data changes, because it's important information, and I have to try to get it all working in 24 hours. So that was my 4 bullets. And then I worked for a while, and 24 hours later, it works like this. Basically, it's a simple thing with a little code and some 2 discoveries and 2 rules. That basically it discovers the CSV file into SCOM, and then it has a rule that stores the data on each agent. And then I developed a end user GUI that make it possible to view or edit the information, and then it pushed back through another discovery back to SCOM. And then I have a rule that take the agent changes if the setting is so, and then make a new central CSV if necessary, and everything is logged both in the Windows event logs and on a central location on the management server. So this is a complete picture of actually how it works. So, and it's easy. It's one management pack and it's one GUI. The GUI is written in C#, and the management pack is XML and PowerShell, of course. A technical perspective is that it is 3 classes, 2 discoveries, 2 rules, 1 embedded resource. So I deployed it on the agent, so you don't have to do that, or to copy it, and a few lines of code. And I also have a directory local on the server that has a strange name, but we come to that later in the presentation. So from the user perspective, I wanted to do it dynamic CSV file. And what I mean by that is that if you have a CSV file with, let's say, 8 properties that you have on your computer, and then you want to have 12. So you want to add things, and in SCOM this is a problem when you want to add, not when you want to add properties to a class, but when you want to remove them, it's a problem. So I made like a thing here that you can have. Currently it's 16 properties, but you can change and you can take them back and so, and the logic take care of it. So it's really easy to have a column and then, or a property, and then draw it back so you can take it away. That's one thing, and I would also like to say that an end user GUI that is dynamic, so it's in view mode or in edit mode, and that is based on the administrator's settings that you do as a SCOM admin. And then I have this logging thing. I log all the data changes and divide them into all changes, and then I have the client-based and the central base, like the CSV file from the file itself. And then all the tasks that is done both on the management server and on the agent is also logged. And I would like to say some things about the schedule. Also, it's preferable to do it once a day, maybe. I've done it every 5th minute in the lab, and it works, but it's kind of, you have to hurry up if you want to do any changes, and you have to time everything. And one thing that I discovered at the end, that it is self-healing. So if I mess up my CSV file, then I just put a correct one, and it will self-heal all the environment. So that was really a surprise for me too. So I just move on. This is what I mean with the dynamic CSV file. The first example has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different columns, I call them. And the second one has a few more, and it's the order doesn't do any, it doesn't matter. So the scripts take care of it dynamically. So it's really, that was really a fun thing I realized afterwards. And then I have this GUI that is deployed on the agent, and you can start it. And if the administrator has enabled the setting allow client updates to yes, then you can change the information and press save, and then the information will be transported back and so on. Otherwise it's locked, and then you have to update it in the central file only. And I wanted to make this dynamic thing because it's the more the merrier. The more the merrier when it comes to fixing data. I think it's hard for one person or a central figure to do everything. You have to share the effort to have good data. So, and I always have this central logging. It's lots of logging posts, and it is I created some dynamically create some sources that is dedicated to this thing, especially on the management server, so you can follow the log posts. And then I have this local directory also, that you have all this extra information that you would like to keep for a long period of time, I think, when it comes to data consistency, I call it. So I move on, and then it has a customizable schedule. So I talked a little about this, and since it's SCOM, you can pretty much override everything if you can and want. And then I have a picture of the views. So you can look on this piece of code, but it's not so flashy to watch. It's only a master server that is in this case it's this name, and it has this setting that you can configure. And then when you set the allow client updates to true, it is possible on the agent to edit the information. Otherwise, it's not possible at all. So that was, and then I had a question for myself, and why this strange directory? And for some reason, there is still a need for a local storage where you would like to put like application or some things. And then I found this, and I also laughed a little bit when I saw it. Sometimes he was called the Titan, so I really laughed about it. So, and I think that wraps it up. And I can also show the code, of course. Here is the code, but I can only show is an XML file, so it's not so big. It's only, I think it's 1,000 rows or so. So it's
let's go through this line by line. Only joking.
Yeah.
So,
it's no problem. Everyone can take part of this.
Yeah.
It's, so yeah, thank you.
So Anders, I am not sure I heard you correctly when you said, so the GUI which is present on the agents, suppose I make a change to the CSV there, does that reflect on the central server and other agents?
Yes, if you you can only change the information on a agent server that
Correct.
belongs to the agent, and then it's transported back to the central location. And if it is configured by the administrator from the beginning that it is allowable, you are allowing the client update, then you can do that. Otherwise, you can't. So the central rule doesn't. They don't. It's if it's forbidden, it's forbidden.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I really like that that possibility that you can actually, well, first of all, adjust these settings, not just centrally, but also decentrally. I thought that was very creative thinking on your side as well. And also to make it possible for the admins to turn it off, because there are organizations which, well, they will just only force the settings from the central location and not the other way around. So I think that was a really nice thought of you.
I would agree. Lots of stuff that points to kind of completeness of solution there.
I would say also extra kudos for his professionalism, because he stayed up all night just to present, just to do this. And although it's a community event, I think we all will be enjoying the solution at some point, right? And needless to say, the volume of work here, it is not what I've imagined at the beginning. So I saw now, I wasn't thinking that deep about this particular issue or task, but I really see that Anders has done this. So he thought of every step, how to do this, how to do that. And yeah, it's really a lot of work. I like the self-healing idea, where the CSV, if it gets damaged, and also the history stuff, that you can keep the track of the records. And although we don't have a demo here, I wouldn't say that this is here on the negative side, because it's really huge stuff. So thank you, Anders.
You know, just adding the thing that admin can control whether you can edit the CSV decentrally or centrally. That is like you're thinking about the customer perspective in the span of 24 hours in a hackathon, where we tend to skip these things and fine tune them later. So that's that goes out to the customer obsession thing that we keep talking about.
Thank you.
Indeed, makes sense. Brilliant. I think, I mean, from my perspective, I'm not a judge, but 24 hours worth of work, like literally 24 hours, every minute was squeezed from that 24 hours, is an amazing undertaking. So thank you for all the effort put in. And as you said, Stoyan, it's going to be great for the community to be able to benefit from this. What I'm going to do when we get to the end of this webinar is put up a poll. So do hang on right till the end, where I'll ask which of the solutions you'd like a deep dive on. This to me feels like one where a deep dive would be really, really valuable, because there's obviously lots of depth to this solution, as with all our solutions that we could explore, but we need a full webinar for it. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So thank you. Moving on to our final contestant of the day. Hello, Nathan. How are you on this fine day?
Good. Just a little tired, but otherwise.
Right. I got a message from you. Obviously, you work for Cookdown, as do I. I got a message from you in our lab channel at 2:54 saying, please leave the lab on overnight. So I know that for you, there was also some midnight oil burning going on.
Yeah. I was having a good time. I like this kind of stuff, so I was having fun and kind of got in a roll and just kept going. And yep.
That's the main thing. Well, your challenge was API Query Management Pack. How did you find the challenge?
Good. There was a lot of room to move with different directions on there. So I took one, but I liked it. I think it turned out pretty good. Looking forward to showing it off.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you anyone that's in our Slack workspace may have seen some of your sneak peeks already, which is good to see. I saw some UI there. I saw some Visual Studio there as well, which is cool.
Yep. Yeah, like Kevin, I have a lot of fragments and snippets. Unfortunately, a lot of ours have private IP and stuff that I can't share. I shared the whole solution here for this one, but I can't just put the whole library of snippets online. Otherwise, I'd be great to share those.
Possibly a job for us over time to take out
the magics.
Take out the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, as with all our contestants, I videoed your thoughts on how you would tackle this challenge. So let's see what your approach was going to be. Let's play that video. So I'm joined now by Nathan. Nathan, hello. How are you today?
Hello. Doing good.
Good. So for anyone watching this clip, so it is now an hour and 10 minutes after we kicked off the HackerSCOM challenge. So Nathan, you've had an hour and a bit to start building your idea. So really, I'm interested in finding out how it's going and how you're planning to tackle this challenge today.
Yeah, it sounds good, Bruce. Let me share my sketches here, give you a little idea of what is going on.
Sounds good. And while you do that, what was your idea again?
I was assigned to do some API monitoring.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I've drafted up. It looks like we can break everything down into two sections. You've got the PowerShell stuff, which will really just get the data. It wasn't specified in the task, but I assume we're talking numeric data here. We're numbers, too much of something, too little of something. And then we're going to pass it through to a standard SCOM filter expression, which is where we'll evaluate if it's healthy, warning, or critical, and then raise alerts.
Sounds good. Seems like a relatively simple plan. And
yeah, the one I forgot to add on here, now that you mentioned that, UI to is I'd hoped to get a UI on top of there so that anyone can quickly drop these in without having to go into XML, just get it in that authoring pane. And you'll be able to go in there and do that.
Sounds good. So actually, the hard piece to my mind is probably going to be the UI.
I think so as well. I had done some more sketching on the other sections and stuff. And for like PowerShell, it's really all standard stuff you'd need to know, right? The URL, the method, maybe authentication if time's available. Some other stuff. And then for the filter expression, one that people don't always think about that we should probably ask if up is good or down is good. Just kind of a weird thing. People usually assume, you're like, oh, performance, more than 100 milliseconds is bad, or more than, that's not always the case. If you think about disk space, or if you want to look at orders processed in the last hour, it's really high numbers are good. And it's when you get below a set that it becomes bad. So those are some of the things I'm trying to line out here in the beginning, because it's hard to be down the road and then like, oh, I need to ask if up is good or down is good. And then it's just good to line it out in front.
Yeah, makes sense. One of those things that, as you say, maybe forgotten otherwise. Yeah, cool.
So that is the plan.
All right, good. Well, it sounds like you have a robust plan. Are there any things you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, any elements that might be a challenge for you, or is it all in hand?
Not yet, but there's SCOM always has a way of pulling those out of the back corner of some thing you forgot about or didn't realize. So I'm making sure not to get overexcited and confident. Just go for it. Trying to check off all the boxes before diving in too deep. But 24 hours isn't that long.
No, it really isn't. Perfect. Well, thank you for showing us where you're at so far. I wish you all the best, and we'll leave you to get back to it. Perfect. So again, Nathan, you had a good plan there. It's going to be interesting to see how whether there were any unexpected curveballs, as you said in your introductory video. Interestingly, so we posted these videos on YouTube, and yours got a comment from a guy called Thomas who said, for example, problems like having an empty line at the end of your script and wondering why it's not compiling. The old classic syntax gets you every time. So how did you find it? Anything particularly challenging you weren't expecting?
No, nothing major jumped out. Some of the old favorites, the TLS 1.2 on PowerShell, I must have hit that 24 times when making REST calls, and you get the error that's like, oh yeah, I have to put the one line that says force TLS 1.2. But I never remember until I get the error. But
at least that's one which, when you encounter it, is a quick fix.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. Well, let's see what you built then.
It sounds good. So I figured I'd walk through kind of hoping how people would use it. And I think one of the APIs I started with was the weather. So I assume people will go and, hey, like here's an API. It works on XML or JSON, right? And you have a URL, and we'll pick, temperature, Fahrenheit, or feels like Fahrenheit, and say we want to get that into SCOM. We want to monitor it to say above, below. We want to track it. So I thought that should be the goal for kind of what we're doing here. So I set out, I'll take this URL here, and to add it in, just go to the authoring here, and under API Perspective Wizard, add new monitoring, we go API Perspective. We give it a name, we'll call Boston temp. Let's see the temp in Boston. Just the regular UI you're kind of used to in SCOM here. Put it in the HackaSCOM samples. Schedule, we'll do it every 3 minutes. It'll burn up the free API credits, but it'll work good for the demo. You've got options here. You can do a get or a post. Some APIs require the post. I wasn't able to find any good ones to test on. And then, of course, both JSON and XML are supported to parse on what comes back. So you put in the URL up here, and then we just need to give it a path to extract. And what we were looking at in the other one was, I think it was under the current node, and then feels like Fahrenheit. I guess I can copy and paste that from my clipboard over here just to make sure it's spelled correctly.
Spelling mistakes always the other ones that get me typos.
Indeed, me as well. And then here's the last question, just kind of on alerting. So you kind of pick here, do we want to alert if it's greater than, less than, greater, equal, less equal? We'll do, we'll go for snow, less equal. So we'll warn at 50 Fahrenheit and then 30, and we'll say maybe we want an alert. May have ice in Boston. And so when you do that, you just click create here. It's going to generate you a new workflow. I've got 3 here so that we don't have to wait for SCOM to start collecting. You'll see that 4th one pop up in just a minute, and we'll dive in to look at one of these already configured ones. So we go back, so there's the Boston temp and the description we set. We can go back into line 414, which is the bus line that kind of runs by my house. Another API that I found was the Tfl Uk Government Api. And so I'm looking for the arrivals and how many seconds till it's going to get to the station. And then I've set an alert if it's more than 10 minutes. So you could modify it here. We could change the schedule on any of that. And then once those are in, that's it. They start collecting. You can see some of the test ones here. So here's an alert from the bus one. You know, it's more than 10 minutes until the next bus. The most recent value was 1,641 seconds. And it kind of gives you the breakdown. When the value is greater than 600, a warning. Greater than 900, it'll be critical. And then there's some other, I guess there was an alert on my test for London. Oh, getting close to freezing in London. So yeah, that's how it works. And of course, if you go in there, you can look at the performance, which is also collected and tracked. So we've got the performance of the call itself, which is more assuming you're tracking one of your APIs. That's probably valuable as well. And then the actual value is tracked there. So you can go back and historically see what it was. And since they are monitors, they will, oh, like the bus one, the bus apparently has gotten closer. They will auto recover when they should.
Sounds good. All UI driven as well.
Yes. Yep. So it was fun stuff. I kind of like doing this stuff, and yeah, I had a good time setting that out.
Awesome. Well, let's throw it open to our judges to see if there are any comments, questions. Yeah.
Nathan, how many hours did you spend on this?
Almost all of them. I think I had to go for a walk somewhere in the middle because I was starting to doze off, and so I had to get up and like physically move. But then I came back and put some more in.
Yeah, what I can say is just I'm amazed by the UI extension. It's really a top feature. You did an awesome job. I don't know what to say. It's really something we or the community needs, something very useful, and with the UI extension it makes it so much easier to use. So just top stuff.
Can I ask you what are you using to monitor from? I saw you were using a watcher.
Yeah, that's one. It's probably a good spot to extend from. Now it's just going to run from the. I guess since I don't create a managed service manages entity relationship, it'll probably run from the all management servers resource pool. But moving forward, it would be good to actually have somewhere in there do a entity managed by managed service and tie it to a resource pool, which is typically what we do for cook down stuff. And then you could actually say, this branch office, I have a gateway, run it from there. Those kind of things.
I saw on Twitter somebody give a hint like that.
I think that was Dion.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was about to say. Any other questions, comments from you guys, judges?
This is so complete. I don't mind you not doing two things, Nathan. This is.
I almost got the second one in there for you, Shivam. Under authoring, so taking the templates that are already built is actually pretty easy. And I took the OLEDB one and actually extended it. So now if you go in, we do like a SQL test. We'll drop it in here. Use the connection string builder. So all of this is Microsoft built, which is one of the things I love about SCOM. You can just reuse components that exist, and then the ones you need, you just add. We'll put a simple query here because I don't want to select 10. Right, it does the SQL connection. You can pick your watchers on this one since it's the pre-built one. And then I just added the same part that I had built for, I guess, the second section in that drawing that I showed earlier in the video. I just added it here so you could go and say, if 10 is greater than 20, we'll warn, and greater than 30. And you get the same behavior through this. It's just based on the draw from SQL. And so that works pretty good as well. I've got one of those up. I was monitoring how many items are in our config tasks table. I needed something that changed, so I just picked a random table. But yeah, so then it looks like this, and so it just gives you the same kind of stuff where you get the same you usually have, but there should also be a graph for the value it pulled. So
I
almost,
have
but it
no
doesn't quite
idea
work.
how
You can't
you
modify
squeeze
these.
this in.
These will error if you modify them. So
See, this is where you know, the sort of experience you bring makes such a difference, and you can see through the solutions that have been developed how different people's experiences sort of being used. So Nathan obviously is used to generating products that we sell as Cookdown, which obviously have UI. Kevin is used to pulling from his fragment library and building management packs, you know, for example. So you can really see how people's experiences have been used in those solutions.
yeah.
Any other questions,
Thanks,
comments,
Yannick.
messages?
And it's up on GitHub, so feel free to tear it apart and send questions over.
Be careful what you wish for.
Should be able to. I'm not. I said you can send questions. I won't reply with answers. Great question. But it's up and works.
Are there any other questions, comments from our judges?
Yeah, it's really, really creative also picking pieces. Like you said, there is already parts that can talk to SQL, for example, whereby you take the existing pieces and then you add an additional part on it where you do the evaluation, basically, right? And that's
the only thing I had to change from the out-of-the-box template was collect value false to collect value true, and then I added a perf rule. So I was like, oh, it looks like I did a ton of work, but it was really Microsoft had done it, and we wanted to use it slightly differently.
I bet you're sort of you're almost wishing you had the other challenge as your primary.
I think the only extending I can think on the API one is maybe, you know, you get the string responses also and have a way of evaluating that also. I think if you add that, then it is sort of production ready. Then I don't think there is anything left to it.
Nice. All right.
I would think it would be fun to do like a regex, just like if you see this
Exactly.
text,
Exactly.
yeah.
This is one of the things with a 24-hour time frame. There's always more we could do. That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nathan. And thank you very much to all our contestants. We have seen the solutions from everyone, which can only mean one thing. Yes, it is judging time. So how this is going to work is we're going to start off by putting up a poll in Hopin for you, the community, to vote in. So we're going to start with that. If we could put up the poll now. Get in your votes now, and we will see how things look, and we'll go from there. We obviously wanted to do this first because if we'd have gone with our judges first, it could potentially be a foregone conclusion, and that's not what we want. So the poll should be live now. I'm just getting to the view on my other screen so I can see that poll, but it should be a case of going under the event and going to polls, and here it is. So if you could cast your vote now and have your say as to who should be cast our champion. I can see the results on my end. Oh, I can. The votes are starting to trickle in. Anyone struggling to find it, if you're in the event itself, you click on the event tab and then click on the polls sub tab. We'll give it a few more minutes. And just to say before the question comes, in all of the solutions that have been built, we're asking for our contestants to make the source available to the community, however they see fit. If they have their own GitHub, that's perfectly fine. We'll surface it all on blogs on the HackerSCOM on the Scomathon website, so you guys can get access to it too. We'll just see how the votes are looking. Oh, they're starting to come in now. Okay, so I think let's give it another 10 seconds with our 10-second countdown and see how it is. All right. So from what I see here, the person with the most votes is Nathan Foreman. So Nathan, you have 14. Oh, it's changing. It's changing real time. Now you have 14 votes. Second position goes in terms of what the community say to Kevin Holman with 8 votes. Then Anders with 6, Ronnie with 2, and Dion, I'm afraid, currently with 0. We'll leave that poll up. We'll have a look at it at the end as well in case things change. But next, obviously, there will be nothing to say, nothing of interest without asking our judges. So next, let's do that. HackerSCOM judges, let's go round one by one and see what you think. And I'm going to start with you, Bob.
Oh my gosh, so much stuff has been created, so hard work, so little sleep for most. I was really impressed by the amount of work done by everybody, actually, by all 5 contestants. A lot of creative thinking also was needed. You can for most of these things you can think of like, hey, there's an easy way, and then after 5 minutes you come up with a lot of reasons why it's not that easy anymore. I'm sure that Shivam will recognize that as well while creating management packs for Microsoft. It sounds easy at first, but then you run into something, right? So I do love the creativity a lot. Dijon, he was thinking a lot also about what would be useful, adding things on the story. It was a very good thing also with the grabbing the extra information, like extra software, extra added software and hardware. So that was thinking of the practical solution as well. Then we had Kevin with the gateways. Of course, this has been requested so long, so many times, and you need to come up with some kind of a dynamic solution if possible. That is why I was also very interested in hearing if you can add other devices to the solution. And yes, you can. Finding that you can run a recovery for a healthy situation is also a nice one. Sounds logical, but you kind of need to know that it's there, right? So I loved it, and also the fact that he could use a lot of the fragments that are already there, right? So you can see how this pays itself back basically by building yourself a fragment library or using one. And for Ronnie, there was also a lot of critical thinking around there. I love that, and also writing back to the log file, because this is a difficult situation, like how can we see that the traffic stops, that we were all trying to figure that out before that. I really loved the situation where Anders was working on, the CSV or whatever data source there is, basically, right? Because we just use CSV as an example. But pushing it back into the server, using it, there's a lot of practical use for this. Because you can create groups, you can create notification channels, views, you can use all this information in many ways. And also the fact that, you can turn on and off the agent-based settings is really thinking forward towards the customer side. Yeah, and Nathan, that was also pretty awesome, using the GUIs, but also thinking about different situations. So I have a JSON, I have an XML, not just going for one solution only. And of course, doing the same thing for SQL, because he put on the big boy pants, so saying he could do both probably, so was good.
It's always good to pull up someone when they go, I can do this. Like, well, let's see, can you? So with that in mind then, Bob, who is your vote going to go to for the winner of HackaSCOM 2021?
My vote in this case is going to Nathan.
Okay. So that's 2 for Nathan. All right, Shivam, I'm going to come to you next. What are your thoughts, and who does your vote go to?
It feels, it feels wrong to say that one person did it the best, because like literally everything. So obviously everyone knows that these are very, very technical people who will find a way to solve the problem. But the way in which they solved the problem and the thought process that went behind it. So everybody displayed some form of creativity, right? So Dion went on with just collecting. Okay, what can cause a BSOD rather than just focusing on solving the problem BSOD? What can cause it? Let's add drivers. Let's add software. So Kevin figured out something that none of us were aware of and used that to do it. And it was such a thorough solution. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see it on the blog very, very soon and maybe using it. Then Ronnie just went. So in the case of Ronnie, nobody knew, okay, what is the correct way to maybe close a port and how do we monitor that? And he sort of set up those registry keys and, just writing to the file, checking it again and again. Anders' design was so thorough, like he had that picture in his mind into 1 or 2 hours that you talked to him, and he just went ahead with it. And obviously, I talked about the customer obsession that I saw during that time. Uh, in the case of Nathan, I almost see a complete product. Like I think, like if it was not developed for open source, I think Nathan could have easily bottled it up and sold it. So. That's there, and I was trying to give points, and so 3 people in my list have 8.5, someone has 8.4, and someone has 8.3. So there it's sort of, I don't know. So
Tricky one, and as you said,
this is
everyone's put in such a large amount of effort, and the other thing is that all of these challenges came in from the community, so they're all, none of these are sort of cooked up by us as sort of fictitious examples. These are all real problems that people out there are facing, so it doesn't actually matter ultimately who the winner is, because the community wins because they now have answers to all of their issues, which is really, really awesome.
definitely the community definitely gets a big win here. Like,
but I'm afraid I do have to make you pick. So with that in mind, who is your vote going to go to?
I would pick Anders. I would pick Anders because of the technical soundness of the solution and just the thought process that went behind him solving it.
Makes sense. Sounds good. All right. So Stoyan, then, you are our final judge to speak. What are your views and who's your vote for?
Bob and Shivam already said most of the things. It is really unfair to have to nominate only one candidate here. I'll just point out shortly what I liked about each solution. Of course, Dion, he didn't really, he went an extra mile and added admin tasks and something like this. That was awesome. About Kevin's management pack, really precious stuff. I can't wait to start promoting this and referring to it. It's really a full solution. I like the creativity Ronnie put in his solution. Bob already mentioned this, and what Anders did is also really amazing. The whole object model, all the details and all the stuff, and of course the stuff Nathan did is just yeah. I'm having really a hard time. I would like to spread my votes amongst all 5 participants, but since I'm forced by you guys to pick one, I think I'll pick Ronnie in this case, and I'll argument myself like this. So he did find a creative solution for this, and I would like to balance a bit the whole judging stuff and leave it also to all the participants to really to hear their voice. Thank you guys and of course thanks to everybody for all the countless hours of working. I thought of for myself what would be if I have to do this. I have to skip work. I have to sit the whole time on the computer. It's not an easy stuff, and thank you for doing this for us.
No, we really appreciate it. So that means that, Nathan, you are our competition winner. I think it's fair to say that, you know, everyone is a winner through participating and the community ultimately wins. So, Nathan, congratulations. Let's get you up and hear a bit more about the charity of your choice, which was the Boy Scouts of America. So who are they and why are they sort of significant to you, Nathan?
I guess they're the Boy Scouts of America. I was trying to think of another way to word who they are, but yeah, I was a Boy Scout when I was younger and made a bunch of lifelong friends. The person that actually helped me move over to England in 2019 is someone I met mid 90s in the Boy Scouts, and we still socialize. So I wanted to make sure other people had the opportunity to do the same. And then I of course picked the ones of America. I know there's an English Boy Scouts too, but I have to have some home country support, I suppose, even though I live over here.
Makes sense. No, great. I mean, I think that's important. It's got to be something that means something to you and has to be personal. And you didn't, you know, grow up in the UK, so why would you pick the UK one? That's fair enough. If you want to hear more about the Boy Scouts of America, you can go to scouting.org. So the next obvious question is, so we're donating some money to this charity as a result of this competition. Let me just, maybe let's do a drum roll when I read on the screen. So the total amount that we'll be donating is $430. We'll be donating to Boy Scouts of America, which is really, really cool. Hopefully that will make a difference to them being able to bring young people together in America and help other people as it helps you. Any final thoughts, any final comments from you as our winner, Nathan?
I think everyone did great. I was watching it going through and it was exciting to see, just like all the judges said, everyone thinks differently. There were some, I was worried, like if I got the one that Dion had, I'm not that familiar with servers, I wouldn't know where to go, like what the dead ends and stuff. And so it's exciting to see that different members, you know, can supply knowledge where some of us couldn't. So that was good.
I couldn't agree more. You know, it's been a massive effort from everyone and it's really, really appreciated. It's like clearly a massive undertaking. You know, I don't think anyone just, you know, did a few hours and then knocked off down the pub or whatever. You know, it was obviously a massive effort from everyone. So thank you very much.
I can stay up. That's where I'll head, to the pub. I don't fall asleep here.
Although, as you now know from your from what you built, it's nearly freezing in London. So maybe not the beer garden today, I'd suggest, Nathan. So I just wanted to give a personal thank you to every single one of you, judges and contestants. Everybody put in an amazing effort. So from all of us here at Team Scomathon, thank you very much. We couldn't do these events without you, and your support and participation is genuinely greatly appreciated. And as far as the community concerned, I'm sure that will be echoed as well, because obviously you know, there's lots of people watching you do this because they're interested in what you guys are building and ultimately, you know, your solutions. So thank you. So what I'd like to do before we sort of move on is just to say all the solutions that have been built we're going to be making available via some way that will be up to each contestant how they'd like to share their source code and their solution. We'll write blogs on them on the scomathon.com website. They'll be available soon in air quotes because it depends on how much time we have to write the blogs. And so do expect to see them there. We'll obviously let you know via email when they're ready to see. And the other thing I'd like to do is just to pop up a really quick poll, because what I'd like to do, if all of you contestants are willing, is to go deeper on your solutions. And what I'd really like to do is understand from our community here which solution they would really like us to go deeper on, because obviously we can't do that here today. Obviously, you'll be pleased to hear, especially for those of you who haven't slept. We won't be doing that today. But what we will be able to do is to do that in webinars that follow. So what would be great to do is to pop up that poll now to get a feel for who you know, maybe we'll do the top 3 depending on the schedule for our coffee break webinars that run monthly, that are obviously also free and are community focused, which of these solutions we may go deeper into. So if you could just go into Hobin and go to the events tab once more, under polls, you will see the poll that is live. So it'll be interesting to see your vote. If you could cast your vote now, that would be great. And we'll just give it a minute for those votes to come in. And while those votes are coming in, I'd like to ask my contestants and my judges for any closing remarks, anything that anyone would like to say about the competition, how they found it, and anything else, really. No is fine too. Perfectly acceptable.
It does make me miss the physical events.
Arranging
I know.
the event.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yes.
just
I hope-
thank you for having this event. That's what I'll say. Like, you know, it's always an eye opener to see how other people, you know, interact with SCOM.
No problem at all. You'll be pleased to hear I'll be sending you the other however many items that were in the task list that didn't get done so they can make it into SCOM 2022. Can't wait to see those solutions.
Yes, just send them over.
I need to stay commitment. That's fair enough.
I'll just start writing here.
Yes, exactly. Can't quite see that notice board. I have to zoom in a bit. Okay. All right, so we'll give it another 10 seconds for our poll to run, and then we'll see which solution or solutions we'll dig into in detail. I'm not sure how our sort of schedule looks from sort of February onwards, and so we may be able to cover multiple topics from this list, and obviously our contestants have to be willing is a thing, so we'll have to deal with that offline. So, all right. So from the poll, I can see we have 12 votes, which is the most for Anders, your solution. Create registry keys containing data from essentially stored CSV on servers. Followed by number 2 being Nathan, your solution, tied with your solution, Dion, of alert on unexpected shutdowns. So that's unexpected shutdowns and API query management pack. So more webinars to follow in the future if you guys are obviously willing, and it would be great to have you back for more in the future. So before we go, just time for a few final remarks. Just to say that just because HackersCom today is drawing to a close doesn't mean that that is all the community content we have planned for you. We obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I don't know, run monthly coffee break webinars, and the next one is actually this month. We've gone above and beyond by booking 2 events in 1 month, which means we're going to take December off and just drink a lot of alcohol and just generally slack off, which is great. But I'm really excited to say that for November, we have this topic, integrating the security monitoring management pack into Microsoft Sentinel. And for this, we have a really, really awesome panel. So we have Nathan Gao, who is the author of the security monitoring management pack, which you'll have seen probably before. He's presented at Scomathon and in webinars, coffee break webinars in the past. We have Rod Trent and Cameron Fuller from Microsoft and from Catapult Systems to help bring the solution to life. And the background to this is this idea was actually conceived at Scomathon, our main conference back in June, when Cameron Fuller saw Nathan Gao's session, which mentioned the security monitoring management pack. And he's obviously hooked into all the right places to make this happen. This will be happening on the 30th of November at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. If you go to scomathon.com/coffee-break, everything you need to know is there, along with a registration link. It will be great to see you all there. It should be a really good topic. Also, as with last year, we are once again this year running the Big SCOM survey. The Big SCOM survey is your chance to tell us, and therefore the SCOM product team, how your plans for tomorrow look for today and also for tomorrow. We use this data internally for, prioritizing stuff like roadmaps. The SCOM product team in the past have found this data really useful and eye-opening as well. And we're going to keep the questions very, very similar, basically exactly the same as last year, so that we can track trends to see what's changed since last time we ran this back in December of last year. The survey is now live. We'll be advertising this more over December. If you go to scomathon.com/survey, the Big SCOM survey is there, and we'd really appreciate your input so we can see what's going out on there for you all as attendees. So please do fill that survey in. Just finally, a word from our sponsors who are Squared Up. initially. Squared Up are the not-so-secret source for SCOM success, providing dashboards to make use of all that awesome data that is inside of SCOM and beyond. They can dashboard up other things as well. If you haven't seen it, do go and check them out. And if you have a question on it, there's a Slack channel in which you can ask questions too. And then there is Cookdown, which is the company that I work for. You'll be sick of hearing me witter on about Cookdown before the end of this, I'm sure. So Cookdown make a number of things, but our flagship product is a product called Connection Center. Connection Center is all about getting data into SCOM from wherever it lives via webhook, and also getting SCOM alerts out of SCOM and into whatever platform you would like to consume them in. From ITSM tools such as ServiceNow and Sharewell through to messaging platforms like Slack and Teams, and ultimately anywhere you like using webhooks. It's a very, very powerful product. And newest offering to this suite of products is the ability to pull in data from external systems to raise them as SCOM alerts. So for HackerSCOM attendees, we're offering you a 3-month free license. If you're interested in that, please do go to go.cookdown.com/HackerSCOM-2021 to go and claim your free license, or if you like a trial of any of our other bits and pieces or any of our free downloads, they're all available there as well. And our final sponsor is Silex. Silex MP Author and MP Studio make the process of authoring management packs so much easier. You would have seen from Kevin's slides earlier that he uses their solutions to make his life much easier. It's very much worth you guys checking it out. If you go to silec.com/scomathon, everything you need is there, as well as eval licenses, so you can go and check it out yourself. So all that's really left for me to say is thank you. Many, many thank yous are needed. It's not quite as simple as just thanking our contestants and judges, though obviously I really appreciate all of the effort that you guys have put into making this show today. From where I'm sitting, I've learned some things, and I'm sure our attendees have too. I genuinely appreciate it. And obviously to you guys, judges, for helping me shape the ideas and bring this event to life as well. And of course, to you all at home watching, thank you for watching, whether you're watching live or watching this on YouTube or the Scomathon site afterwards. I hope you guys have learned something. And if there are any questions that occur after the event, we have our Slack channel running constantly at scomathon.com/Slack. So if you have any questions, please do go and ask them there. So from all of us at Team Scomathon, thank you very much for watching and participating. And until next time, goodbye. Thank you.